Rev'd up, where the preaching is clear, concise, convicting, and quality. Hey there, y'all. Welcome to another edition of Rev'd Up with me, the Reverend D. Ray Montgomery, or D. Ray as most like to call me. I sure am glad you're here, young people, and especially because this is the weekend, ain't it? It's the weekend that y'all are going to Hume Lake, woo-hoo, right? Man, we have been so excited. All of us here in the fellowship have been excited, and I just wanted to speak to some concerns that I had about your weekend. I've heard some of you talk recently about your frustrations with the so-called quote-unquote rules at Hume Lake. There are a lot of regulations and expectations that the rules that they have there at the Hume Lake are not from my heart. Those are not rules that come from the heart of some mountainy man with a beard who runs that camp. Those are rules and traditions that are rooted in the good book. And so what I want to do today is just take a few moments and look at each of those rules and explain to you from this heavy book, why are you being expected to live a certain way? Now I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, oh great, oh no, now we're going to have to listen to another one of D. Ray's long talks about this or that or the other. Well, I'll tell you, I know you're the iPod generation. I know you have no attention span whatsoever. So I'll tell you what we're going to do. I'll teach you a couple things out of this. I'll give you some stuff to chew on and think about with your heart. Not that your heart could actually chew, but figuratively speaking. And then in between, we'll put in some funny clips, some things that make you giggle, stuff to kind of punch each other in the arm and quote to each other later like you do with whatever it is you're watching, Home Improvement or whatever. I got Ronnie here with me. He's working the camera. He's going to mash it all together at the end and turn it into a remix or whatever. That's what he's good at. Let's jump right in here. And the first thing, well, I don't know, Ronnie, should we show him something funny first? What do? I just press the red button. Here, look at this. Now, the first thing I want to talk to y'all about is the rule they have up there, be at all meals. It's not too hard to understand. I want you to look with me, if you will, at the book of Judges. That's in the Old Testament. Starts with the J, and not the silent kind either, the regular kind of J. We're going to look at Judges chapter 1, verse 7. Adonibezek said, 70 kings, having their thumbs and their great toes cut off, gathered their meat under my table. As I have done, so God hath requited me. And they brought him to Jerusalem, and there he died. Now, you might be saying, well, I don't understand a word of that. I don't know who this Adonibezek is. But what happens here is this king, he eats his dinner, but he doesn't eat it in the place he's supposed to eat it. Neither do any of these other amputees he's with. They eat it under the table, like a puppy. That's not okay. It's not okay here, and it's not okay at the Hume Lake. When it's mealtime, kids, you're supposed to eat where you're supposed to eat. And Adonibezek, he learns that the hard way, with his thumbs and his toes absolutely chopped off. Why? Because he ate his food in the wrong place. I think it's very clear that if you do not eat your meals where they're supposed to be eaten, the consequences for you will be very grave indeed. I don't even know where he found this. This is a good one. Here, look at this. Now, the second rule they've got up there at the Hume Lake is the one that's called be at all meetings. You're probably thinking, am I living in the communist China or whatever, where they make you go to meetings when you don't want to? Now, I know some of you think those meetings are boring in the same way that you think my television show is boring. Doesn't make it the case, but it may be the way you feel in your heart. So let me look at a couple things with you really quick. Job chapter 11, and we're going to read verse 10. If he cut off and shut up or gather together, then who can hinder him? Well, now that seems simple, doesn't it? There are three categories here. The first one is cutoff. I used to wear cutoffs twice or three times a week. Now, you may not even know what that is. That's where you take a pair of long pants, you slice them off right there a good 1.5 feet above the knee, you leave it frayed. I'll tell you, back then, we thought it looked nice. In the world we live in today, cutoffs are not acceptable. The second one it says is shut up. Now, there's a thing called political correctiveness. Political correction, you have to be very accurate in the way you talk. You can't tell people to shut up, even if they should shut up. I was behind this gentleman at the bank. Somebody had to tell that fellow to shut up. If I had done the right thing and said that to him, I would go to prison. There is only one category left available to you, and what does it say there? Or gather together. That's right. They recognize that that's the last category available to young people today in which they will not be hindered. Now, hindered from what? I don't know. It doesn't say. So you can fill in the blank there. Hindered from, I really have no idea. There's one other thing. This is in 1 Samuel, chapter 21, verse 1. Then came David to Nob to Ahimelech, the priest. And Ahimelech was afraid at the meeting of David, and said unto him, Why art thou alone, and no man with thee? He came to David's meeting, and he looked at David, and he felt fear in his heart. Essentially, I am in a nightmare, because no one came to David's meeting. This was in the olden times when things were definitely not as scary as they are now. We got all these Saw movies now. Everywhere I go now, I see those Nightmare Before Christmas pumpkin heads on everybody's backpack. I even saw one of them pumpkin heads sewed onto somebody's sweater vest. We live in a scary time. You never know when there's going to be a tornado or when there's going to be one of those Kirstie Alley specials on TV. It is a terrifying time to be alive. Now you think Ahimelech was scared. It would be far more scary for us today. It's important for you to show up at the meetings. This is a good one we dug up yesterday morning, and I can't get tired of watching it. What? This next one is going to cut to the quick, because this is probably of all of these the one that I think pertains to the most of you at our fellowship. It's called be modest. And that doesn't mean be humble. It doesn't mean say, oh, well, I'm not very good at soccer, or y'all cook better than me. It's not that kind of modesty. This is Zephaniah chapter 1. Verse 8, And it shall come to pass in the day of the Lord's sacrifice that I will punish the princes and the king's children and all such as are clothed with strange apparel. I look around the room. I'm not talking about Ronnie. Ronnie, you look fine. But when I think about this, you know what I think about? I think about girls with pink mohawk, guys who wear those jackets